what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Lone Wolf 902 for another video. As you see, we got a wood stove and a tarp. So today's video, to kind of go with my last video, the last overnighter was a stealth hot tent camp out, and that's with the propane heater. So this episode, we're going to talk about wood heat. So I'll show you guys the wood stove. I'll bring you guys in the shelter. The wood stove way up at the end. Down here I've got a military wool blanket. I got a military poncho liner, and then I've got my my Hennessy tarp on the ground for a ground sheet. And I got the doors open up there because well, I don't have a stove jack. I'm just out here for a little quick burn to see how it burns. So let's get in there and get it lit. Alright, so I'm inside the shelter. I'm going to zip that door closed. Get this zipped up. Okay, so a little cramped in here. So first of all, before I show you guys the stove, I want to say a big thank you to the guys who helped me do this. There were two places I went to. One place was Butts Auto Services, located in Kentville, Nova Scotia. Those guys, excellent service. They know their stuff. I go there for everything, vehicles, chit chat, whatever. Awesome guys. They hooked me up with a piece of steel and cut the hole and gave me a few suggestions and whatnot. So definitely check those guys out. And the other place was Busboys Muffler, located just outside of Kingston, Nova Scotia. Also really good guys, great service. They know their stuff. They welded the pipe on top and cut all the pipe sections and flanged the ends for me. So that was a huge help. So check both of those guys out. I'll put it down in the description. And yeah, I'll show you guys the stove. I have the door kind of opened here with a few sticks. I don't have a stove jack in this shelter. I will be working on something, obviously. Right now I'm just out, just want to test burn it. I want to see how well it heats. So definitely do not recommend doing this. If you guys do this, you're on your own risk. So this is just me. I've been after this for a long time. I've wanted a tent stove. I can't afford the $500-600 for a titanium stove, so this is what I came up with. Got an ammocanstove, the 50 cal. I went ahead and bent some aluminum legs that are on there with a wing nut, and all those legs have holes drilled in them as well. And then I got tent pegs that go down to anchor it to the ground. The legs all come off and they all pack inside nice and neatly. Give you guys a look at that pipe that's welded on. And down here in the front, and you can see the fire rope. It's upside down, and the reason I did that is there's a hinge on the back to open the lid. And when I'm ready to pack up, all I got to do is undo the hinge, and all the fire dumps out the bottom. So that's really helpful. And in front, I just made a little hole here for a draft, and drilled some holes down here permanent, so a lot of airflow in here. And then I went ahead and took some scrap aluminum that I had laying around at home, riveted it in a little door latch. So here you guys go. Nice little latch. I put 2 notches in here so I can have the door so it's partially open. You guys can see it's open a little bit, or I can really lock it up for the night. So that's nice and handy. If you guys can see my ridgeline up there, I have an extra piece of pipe that I attached to my ridgeline to kind of keep the stovepipe off of my ridgeline so it doesn't melt it. So that'd be great if that didn't melt. And like I said before, I got these sticks holding the door open. Definitely would not sleep like this. This is just demonstration. I just want to see it burn, and I want to see how much it's going to heat the shelter. So we're going to spark it up, and hopefully we don't burn the tent or myself. So let's do that. So I've got some birch bark here. I collected on the way in. Go ahead and set that inside. I got some twigs. I already cut the wood up. So go ahead and put some of this stuff over here out of the way. And I got some real small twigs. I like to get these on top because those are going to go on first. And I'm only out here for a bit. Didn't have a lot of time, so I didn't put a whole lot of prep into collecting birch bark or anything. There was only a little bit on the trail, and I didn't want to waste all my daylight collecting all this stuff. So what we got is what we got, and we'll make it work like usual. I've got the door open on that first little latch, let all the air in. I already see the ice starting to melt on top. Take a peek up at our chimney, make sure everything out there is good. And with any luck, we won't die today. Oh yeah, chimney's good. So with that door open, we'll see if any heat will build inside, and if it does, then that'll definitely be really good when it's all buttoned up in my other shelter. Oh. So, kind of stretch out here a little bit. Yeah, so if you guys can see, like I was saying, I got my wool blanket down and it's actually kind of warm. I can already feel the heat coming off the stove actually, so that's good. Some of this birch bark on top starting to smoke. Dig on. One important thing, starting to smell it a bit right now, which I don't like. I did burn this on the last trip, which is what I was telling you guys. I didn't show it to you guys because I had actually burned down in the ice, and I forgot to bring it out of the puddle of water that it made, so it was frozen solid to the ground when I woke up. But I did previously burn in this, and I did it outside intentionally to burn off all of the paint. Some pretty nasty stuff, and I can smell a little bit of it right now, but that door is wide open, so a lot of it's going out. But that's one thing that I would highly recommend: burn all the paint off these. I'm going to have to burn this another 3 or 4 times before I can put it indoors. My last wood stove, my big wood stove that you guys would have seen in my the very first hot tent video I put on my channel, that big wood stove, I actually lit a big fire and threw the whole wood stove directly in the fire and burned for a good hour. Awesome stove. That's my Princess Auto stove that I have, so that's really cool. But it's extremely heavy and it doesn't fit my backpack. I got to put it on my sled and pull it in. This fit inside my backpack. I should have mentioned that earlier. I packed in today, I walked, and the heaviest part on this stove is the pipe. Now, I got 8 sections cut at I think 10 1/4 inches long. Today I only brought out 5 or 6 sections. The pipe's the heaviest part. I don't intend on using that pipe, just for affordability and you know, budgeting. That's what I was available to get, so that's what I got. In the longer plan down the road, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a hold of one of those titanium stove manufacturers, and I'm going to buy just the chimney. So then I can leave all these steel pipes home, and I can run just the titanium pipe, which will make this thing ridiculously light. So for a steel stove, so that's really good. So I got the aluminum legs, aluminum latch, steel hinges, fire rope around the door. Took the rubber gasket out. You have to do that. and then titanium pipe, and I think it'll be a really good, robust stove that'll last for a long time. And it's budget friendly. Well, let's open up our door here, see what's going on. And that's hot. I love how this thing burns. I burned it last time when I was out, like I was saying earlier, and I was just blown away at how much heat it put out. And I was quite surprised that I could actually fill it full of wood and walk away for a good 20-30 minutes and came back because I didn't see any flames and I thought it had snuffed itself out. I opened the door and it was just a mound of coals. So that was really cool that it's able to hold that oh man, that it's able to hold that much heat and coals, and it'll just kind of do a nice, ow, hot. It'll do a nice slow burn. Get in there. So, it being a small tent stove, you kind of have to one stick it, unfortunately. I mean, you don't have to, but just easier getting the pieces of wood in there. If you're wondering, the dimensions, I believe it's about 12 inches long. Pretty sure, like I said, I'm pretty sure the stove pipes are 10 and a quarter inches long. So, yeah, you have to just check generic sizes online. 50 caliber ammo can, 250 round count, I think. Don't quote me on that, I'm not 100%. I looked at a whole bunch of different ones before I got this. And I picked this up at my local surplus for $22. And then had all those places that I mentioned earlier help me out and really came through, and here we are. So, get this loaded up here. I'll be able to shut the door. And there's a bunch of wood in there, guys. Like, just loading this thing full. Right to the top. I've got the door open on that first little latch. Let all the air in. I already see the ice starting to melt on top. Take a peek up at our chimney. Make sure everything out there is good. And with any luck, we won't die today. Oh. So, kind of stretch out here a little bit. Yeah, so if you guys can see, like I was saying, I got my wool blanket down and it's actually kind of warm. I can already feel the heat coming off the stove actually, so that's good. Some of this birch bark on top starting to smoke. Stick on. One important thing, I'm starting to smell it a bit right now, which I don't like. I did burn this on the last trip, which is what I was telling you guys. I didn't show it to you guys because I had actually burned down in the ice, and I forgot to bring it out of the puddle of water that it made, so it was frozen solid to the ground when I woke up. But I did previously burn in this, and I did it outside intentionally to burn off all of the paint. Some pretty nasty stuff. And I can smell a little bit of it right now, but that door is wide open, so a lot of it's going out. But that's one thing that I would highly recommend: burn all the paint off these. I'm going to have to burn this another 3 or 4 times before I can put it indoors. My last wood stove, my big wood stove that you guys would have seen in my the very first hot tent video I put on my channel, that big wood stove, I actually lit a big fire and threw the whole wood stove directly in the fire and burned for a good hour. Awesome stove. That's my Princess Auto stove that I have, so that's really cool. But it's extremely heavy and it doesn't fit my backpack. I got to put it on my sled and pull it in. This fit inside my backpack, I should have mentioned that earlier. I packed in today, I walked, and the heaviest part on this stove is the pipe. Now, I got 8 sections cut at, I think, 10 1/4 inches long. Today I only brought out 5 or 6 sections. The pipe's the heaviest part. I don't intend on using that pipe, just for affordability and you know, budgeting. That's what I was available to get, so that's what I got. In the longer plan down the road, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a hold of one of those titanium stove manufacturers, and I'm going to buy just the chimney. So then I can leave all these steel pipes home, and I can run just the titanium pipe, which will make this thing ridiculously light. So for a steel stove, so that's really good. So I got the aluminum legs, aluminum latch, steel hinges, fire rope around the door. Took the rubber gasket out. You have to do that. And then titanium pipe, and I think it'll be a really good, robust stove that'll last for a long time. And it's budget friendly. And that's hot. I love how this thing burns. I burned it last time when I was out, like I was saying earlier, and I was just blown away at how much heat it put out. And I was quite surprised that I could actually fill it full of wood and walk away for a good 20-30 minutes, and came back because I didn't see any flames, and I thought it had snuffed itself out. I opened the door and it was just a mound of coals. So that was really cool, that it's able to hold that oh man, that it's able to hold that much heat and coals, and it'll just kind of do a nice, ow, hot. It'll do a nice slow burn. Get in there. So, it being a small tent stove, you kind of have to one stick it, unfortunately. I mean, you don't have to, but just easier getting the pieces of wood in there. If you're wondering, the dimensions, I believe it's about 12 inches long. Pretty sure, like I said, I'm pretty sure the stove pipes are 10 1/4 inches long. So, yeah, you have to just check generic sizes online. 50 caliber ammo can, 250 round count, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100%. I looked at a whole bunch of different ones before I got this, and I picked this up at my local surplus for $22, and then had all those places that I mentioned earlier help me out and really came through, and here we are. Do a bit of a cooking test, or boiling test we should say. I brought some coffee with me. Not coffee, well, coffee. I brought some water. I gotta make coffee. So, while I'm getting this going, might as well chat to you guys a bit. Man, there's a ton of room in here. I was worried that this wasn't going to be big enough, but it actually is big enough for the stove. So, see, we got some new subscribers. Really happy to see that. So I'd like to say hey to you guys, and thanks for clicking that subscribe button. Try and keep it interesting on this channel. Try and mix it up a little bit. Some episodes have a nice little intro. Some videos are more right to it if I don't have the time to do it that day. Like today I just got out for a little bit, so no intro today, right to the point. I think some people like that, and I think some people like the intros. Some of them are kind of funny, so I like to mix it up a little bit. But yeah, I'm interested to hear your guys' comments. We got some original subscribers and we got some newer subscribers, so I'd be really interested to hear what you guys are looking for, if that's something you guys want to do, or if you guys are just happy with what you guys are seeing. That's cool too. But definitely would like to hear from you guys, some ideas for future episodes maybe. That'd be cool. Yeah. It is warm in here. Man. I gotta say, if you guys are thinking about the 50 can stove, and I'm not the person that came up with this, they're all over the internet. It's actually been a challenge of mine for the last 4 years that I've been after one of these. I built one originally out of a smaller can, out of a 30. I can't remember how many rounds were in that. It was out of the smaller ammo can anyways, and I rushed through it. I wanted to get it done really quickly. I didn't have a shelter. I just wanted to get it done, and it didn't turn out, so I scrapped the idea, and yeah, I just kind of left it alone. But now I've been getting out with a buddy of mine lately on day hikes and stuff, and we've been talking a lot about wood stoves in the shelter. And like I said, I can't afford one, and I just can't fathom, I should say, the amount that they want for them is ridiculous. I'm in Canada. For me to order a base model from Seek Outside or Light Outdoors, I believe it is, I think for even like their small stove is US, I believe it's $400, and then there's duty, shipping, and conversion on top of that. So we're looking at about $600 for a little tiny titanium wood stove. They're packable. They do fit inside your backpack, which is excellent. I'm sure they're a great product, but it's a metal box that holds fire. $600 is too much, so I won't purchase one. If you guys have them, awesome. Maybe one day I will. I don't know. I like the steel. It's a little bit more rugged. I've done plenty of research on the titanium stoves, and a lot of people say they're good, and I've seen a lot of reviews of people saying that they're not really that great. So it's all personal preference, I'm sure, but I can't afford it, so I don't have one. This was the option for me. Ammo can wood stove. Did a good job. So I think it's rocking out heat right now. With the door wide open, the whole bottom of the shelter right now is wide open, so there's draft coming in. That door's not even shut all the way. It's a drafty shelter right now. I can feel the cold coming up my sweater and my back actually, and the heat coming off this is quite a bit. That's awesome. I'm really excited about this. I can't wait to get the shelter finalized and be able to button it up and have this inside and listen to the crackling fire and the glow coming out the holes on an overnight camp out. Oh yeah, that's only been on there about 5 minutes. 4 or 5 minutes, and it's coming along. Cups full of birch bark. What was I gonna do? Cup of soup. There it is. Cup of soup. Whoa. Losing the camera. The wind blowing the shelter in here on the side. There is another guy out point, but I had to use I only brought so many tent pegs, and I had to pull one from that side to put in the door to hold it open. So the sides are kind of blowing in. It usually doesn't, but we'll deal with it today. So I'm hoping that it doesn't rub up against the microphone on the camera and make a scratchy sound. Garbage back in the bag. So I got a cup of soup. I'm going to cook this up. I got a hot chocolate. I got a coffee. I got a Cliff Bar. I got all kinds of little goodies. So might get into it. I might not. Like I said, I'm not out here for long. Really wanted to get out here and test this bad boy out. Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and put one of these guys in there. Another big piece here. Let's try shutting the door all the way this time. Let's try latching it. Got a little louder. I can see the tree out there, the sun, the shadow on the tree, like I showed you earlier with the smoke coming out of the chimney. And I can see right now, there's really not a lot of smoke. It's all heat coming out of there, even with just adding that wood, so that's pretty good. Not bad. That thing's cranking. Holy. Close that and it goes right quiet. I burned it the other night like this, with this shut, and just the lower holes giving air, and it burned for a nice long time. It didn't snuff itself out. I put 1/4-inch holes down here, and I wanted to start slow because obviously you can't go back small. I wanted to start slow and steady with small holes, and the 1/4-inch holes, the 5 that I have down here, it seems to work great, so I'm not going to bother putting any larger holes. But yeah, I got this one hole here. You guys hear that? Listen to this, guys. Putting out some heat now. Wow. I do have a little bit of smoke coming inside of the shelter out of these lower holes now. And I can see the flame trying to jump out. That's not good. My thought, get you guys situated here, my thought is the door's sealed too tight. There's not enough air getting in there. Let's pop this open and see what happens. Just a little tiny crack. Put it on that second notch there so the door's open. No more smoke coming inside, so maybe it does need a larger hole for that center hole there. Maybe it does need a little bit more air because I just closed it. The door's still open and there's no smoke coming in. And I'm not opposed to leaving that open like that, like a crack. That's not bad, and the water's actually boiling now. Oh, that's great. Cup of soup time. Wasn't too bad. That was about 2 cups of water. I want to say about 8 minutes. And that was in between adding wood and messing around with it, so that's not terrible. Open this up again, see what's going on. That's great. These are, I definitely recommend, if you guys have thought about doing this, do it. So obviously, having fire in any kind of a tent configuration is extremely dangerous. So be careful. Certainly don't do what I'm doing. I'm just doing it because I want to. So yeah, be careful. I'm definitely gonna hammer out all of the kinks before I put this inside of a shelter. Gonna make sure that it's not going to be backdraft and smoke inside. Get all the paint burned off. Definitely have more clearance. I do have an aluminum pan, an old cookie pan, that I'm going to make a heat reflector. So I'm gonna either do it in 2 or 3 sections, but I'll have a heat reflector on the sides and in the back, so that'll throw the heat forwards, and it'll also prevent the heat from melting the tarp. Because the other shelter that I have is almost the same configuration of this. It's just it's a bit bigger. It's a bit taller and a bit wider, so a little bit more playroom. Ground's melting, all the snow. That's one thing I made sure I did. Just water falling on it. It's one thing I made sure I did was I like I said, I built it upside down. So when I'm ready to go, I open the handle, dump all the ashes out, turn it over once everything's inside, and I still got the original carry handle. I see a lot of people building them the right way up, and they punch off that the carry handle. I didn't want to do that because it is a handle. It works great, and if I do, I mean, once I get the titanium stovepipe in here, it'll be super, super light, and if I really want to bring a smaller pack, I could carry this in my hand like nothing. So I wanted to leave that handle on there just because future use. But yeah, if you guys do build it, I'd be really interested to see how you guys build yours. Definitely get in touch with me if you do make one, or if you do have one, because I'd love to see it. I'm gonna try some of my cup of soup. Ah, yeah. This is great. This is really, I know it seems so simple, but I've been chasing this for a long time. Busy with work, family, other stuff on the go. Just recently I hammered it down and said I'm gonna do it, and I did it. So if you guys can't afford titanium wood stoves and you're looking for something light, my recommendation so far would be go ahead and give it a shot. I could definitely see this heating this entire shelter, no problem. Like, no problem at all. I think it would be way too hot, to be honest. I'd probably have to open a door to vent it out. I'm laying here, it's about -5, -8 today, in between there. It is quite windy, and I'm just in a thin pair of pants. I got a sweater on. You guys see it. And it is drafty. There's wind coming through here like crazy, and this is keeping me warm. So yeah, try opening it a little slowly. Oh, that's nice. Oh, good heat coming out of that. Oh man, that's a strong piece of wood. So it's been about 40 minutes since the last time I checked on the stove, and I just put more wood in there now. Got water on there again for coffee. About 40 minutes, and I opened the door, and I was gonna put some more wood in there, and I had a big piece of wood, and I opened it up, and the whole stove was still full, and I mean like almost up to the vent hole of red hot coals, all the way to the back. So can it hold sustainable heat? The wind blowing. Can it hold sustainable heat? Absolutely yes. Can't even talk. Not sure what the excitement is out there. Starting to get a little annoying though. Oh, come on! Caw, 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 caw. Boom! came outside to scare all the birdies away. Unreal. It's like thousands of crows just roosting in the treetops. Which means darkness is just about here. They like to roost in the treetops together. A strange bird. So I'll give you guys a look at the shelter. See, my chimney's kind of a little wonky there. I'm thinking about getting 2 washers welded on at the tops and then running a wire down to the ground. And I think that way that'll hold those sections nice and straight. So right now I could just take a stick and straighten it out. As long as it doesn't go this way, it doesn't matter. But I do have this pipe here separating it from my ridge line. But like I said, it's just a quick makeshift setup today, just to get out and see how well it burns and how well it holds heat. So you guys can see what we got going on inside. You see the aluminum legs I was talking about. There's a fair bit of room in there. Go back inside now and enjoy some coffee, and then I think I'm going to pack up and I'm going to head out of here and go home and do a little bit of work on the computer. So it's rocking out heat off that chimney. Yeah, let's go back inside. It's cold out here, really cold. Okay, birds are all gone. Next to my wood stove. Whew, man, it's cold out there. Jeez. It's gonna be a real fast pack up today when it's time to go. Amazing how much heat that stove puts out. Leaving it for a minute, going outside and coming back in. Oh man. And like I mean, you guys can see it's wide open, right over the heat source. So there's a ton of heat that's just being washed right out of here. And yeah, like I said, around the bottoms, there's a good 3-4 inches of tarp up off the ground. So there's just wind blowing through here like crazy. And frozen going out there. But come back in here and you feel quite a bit of heat in here still. So I think it'll work out really good. I'm excited about using it overnight, getting out and really putting it to good use. Here I am inside my tarp, and I've done it before, cooking coffee with like my canister stove or whatnot, but here I am inside my tarp with a wood stove. And there's just something about a wood stove. I know in my last video I had the propane heater there, just giving a suggestion to how you can go stealth camping with heat. Not everyone can afford a titanium stove. I can't, and not everyone's gonna have maybe access to help for building one of these. Like, I don't have a welder, but I'm fortunate I had somebody that was good at it. I didn't have a lot. I don't have a pipe bender or pipe expander at home, so I can't do that stuff. And I understand there's people out there that don't have that locally, or maybe they charge a lot for it. I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this. If you're looking for a wood heat, propane heaters do give off moisture when they burn. Somebody commented in my video, and I thank you for commenting that, because I don't believe I mentioned it at all in my video, and I know that it does do it. I just I don't think I mentioned it. They do give off moisture, so it's kind of the equivalent of boiling water inside of your tarp. Moisture will go stick on the tarp or your tent or whatever. If it's warm enough in there, it'll stay wet and it'll drip overnight. If it's cold, it'll freeze in the frost. So it has its downside, but if you have I bring a pack towel wipe it off every now and then. Simple. It's not like it's dripping wet, like it's raining inside. It's just a little bit of moisture. If you did rub up against the side of your tarp, you can get a little wet. But that's the downside to that. So, and having wood heat, there's just something about wood heat. It's nice, good, dry heat. It's more enjoyable, and you get the nice glow, you get the crackling sound, the fun of betoning wood and loading a wood stove. I mean, it's just something you can't really explain. So, and you guys out there betoning wood and making feather sticks, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. You'd be at home, can't go camping, making feather sticks or betoning wood just for nothing. Friends, why are you doing that? Don't know, just want to. Alright, so I've been blabbering on long enough about this. I think you guys got the gist of it. Just sitting here enjoying the fire a little bit longer. I'm going to let this burn down. Yeah, I'm going to let this burn out, and crows are back again making a racket. So thanks for clicking on the video. I normally don't mention this, but if you guys do want to subscribe, go ahead, that would help out. Give the video a like while you're at it. Hopefully the channel will grow. It has been growing, so I'm hoping it'll grow bigger and better, and we can do bigger and better things. And yeah, I'm hoping next trip out, the overnight, I could take this out and run a hot tent setup again. And yeah, we'll see what happens. So, like I said, thanks for clicking on the video. I appreciate it. And I'm going to let you guys go for now. And let this burn out, drink my coffee, and pack up and head home. See you guys later.